This opportunity really felt like, this is it. Man, I'm gonna show up here and like, this is the start of the adventure. It was definitely not what I was expecting. Growing up, I was in church whenever the doors were open. It was the safest place I could think of to be. I saw myself working in Christian environments for my life. And after high school, I was looking at organizations that were really doing work that I believed in. This one kind of kept coming up, and I remember telling people, oh yeah, I'm moving out there for this internship, but like, I'm probably not gonna be back. My dad drove me out there. He helped me load everything in, and I remember being like, this doesn't feel exactly like they said it would. After a couple months, things kept happening that would give me that little feeling kind of in my gut. They had us working, 18-hour days, and then they'd wake us up at midnight to do what they said was break us down so that they could build us up. There was a moment where someone was laying next to me who had struggled with an addiction to heroin, and they were telling her, if you leave, you're gonna be an addict again. And she was crying and she was shaking her head. Things like that happened more and more and more consistently. I remember having a conversation with someone in leadership and talking about things from my childhood and temptations and thoughts I had had. Those things were shared with the entirety of the leadership team, and then when there were moments where I would push back or confront things that were happening, it was immediately like, well, you can leave, but we know how scared you are of being weak. And that would really be the weak thing to do. And it really set me up to decide that maybe I could find a safe place in the future, but it probably wasn't gonna be a Christian space. It probably wasn't gonna be the church. I was probably gonna have to figure it out on my own. I was there for 8 months, and I came back and it was like whiplash, because I remember that girl who left in January, and this is not me now. Now I'm like really mad. I really wanted somebody to make it make sense to me, and I felt like I was owed that, and so I carried that around. I remember going to sleep and just being like, it would be just like real chill if the universe could like let me not wake up for a while. Like, I'm just kind of done. Like, I'm going through the motions. For years, it was not a thing I talked about. I can fake it, I can make people think whatever, I can talk around it. No one's gonna know. Because if they knew what actually happened, I really truly felt like, oh, like that would be the end. The idea of being that person, of like the victim, was so overwhelming that it was easier to just shut it down. My brother worked in Tulsa, and I thought, okay, it could be a fresh start. That part felt really attractive. Right before I moved, I was like, I'm gonna like be at a new church, no one knows me. I'm gonna go ahead and sign up for a small group, like I'm moving right in time. I'm gonna pick one that's like a book study, because like I don't just wanna get in there and cry about my feelings. A couple chapters in, they say, hey, in the workbook, like write down your story. So I wrote it down, and even as I wrote it, I was not ready to say what it actually was that happened. One of the last weeks, our small group leader was like, listen, if you feel comfortable, share that story. I was like, feels a little risky, but like, it's fine. I'll just share exactly what's on the page. It's gonna be done in like 2 minutes. I read the first part, and I get to where I was about to just say, and then things got bad, the crap hit the fan. And like opened my mouth. And I just said, I think it was abuse. And then I called what happened after that depression, and I was like, whoa, hold on. That is what that was. The small group leader was like, oh, like, that's awful. Like, that shouldn't have happened. And almost immediately it lost a degree of its power. I felt like I was able to breathe. I don't even know if a single person in that room even realized what was happening for me inside. But the goodness of God was there. My pain was caused by vulnerability and openness being used against me. However many years later, Jesus was like, there was harm there, but I'm going to use that to set you free. If you're going through something similar, or you've been through something similar, and it feels so big and so overwhelming that if it were to actually be said out loud, you wouldn't survive it. All it takes is the tiniest little minuscule ounce of bravery, and Jesus fills in the rest. Jesus is so good. And that goodness shows up in other people, in community.